Well, who thought I'd be wearing flannel and layers at the end of May? But here we are, so, nothing to do. Join me with a tasty beverage of your choice close to hand while we take a look at some Hoyas that have grown on me. And before we get started, a thank you to everyone who joined in last week's discussion of whether or not they were interested in Oreo Spart or Papua Hoya, Discidia, or any other Hoya relatives, and those who participated in discussion in the relative fashion sense of certain hats. It was fun and a good laugh. And a special thanks to Vala 566 who taught me the phrase, was der Bauer nicht kennt, will nicht. What the farmer doesn't know, he doesn't want. I'm going to get better at that one, and it's going to come in handy. So thanks. That just added to the whole fun of the comments. And this week's special thanks go out to my friends Kasia and Medina, who sent me a thanks last week. It was greatly appreciated. And to Augie and Tamra, who bought me coffees, and Augie signed up for a recurring coffee purchase. So every single contribution to the channel is really appreciated and very helpful, and goes a long way to keeping me in Hoyas and Oreo Spart and Discidia and Papua Hoya and the technology, the other side of the equation. So thank you all very much. And I've got some bloomers this week. It's getting busy in the Hoya room. The first one up is my Hoya carnosa, Wilbur Graves. It's a very, very pretty plant. And this week, let's see if I can get this around here, it started blooming for the very first time. Let's see if I can do something with that. So they haven't started opening yet. Well, they've just started opening. They're just opening up. There's another peduncle over here. See if I can get that. He's in there. Another couple peduncles down here and one more up there. And I'm psyched about this. He's not as splashy as he was when he first started off, but it's Wilbur Graves, and it's a carnosa, and it's a Hoya, so it's going to do whatever it pleases. And before you write in and tell me to give it more light, that will increase the amount of splash. It's not necessarily true, and this one's getting a whole lot of light. So yeah, Hoya does what Hoya wants to do. And people who thought I was being optimistic with my trellises, so this one's going crazy. It's under higher light now. I moved it and it seems to appreciate that. And I think it's really, really pretty. Now the next one, let me park this one down here. And this one is my Hoya insularis. Now you may remember this, that I had it set up as a hanging plant, and it just got into it. It was in the way. It didn't work well for me that way. So I trellised it a few months ago, and we have one set of blooms here. If I can get that to, and another set of blooms here. They're not fully out yet, but I'm very psyched about that. It's two sets of buds at the same time. They're very pretty. They tend to go a little bit more red, if I remember from the last time it bloomed. So yes, and there's new growth, which I now have to unwind. Darn it, I missed it. From the trellis and do some more wrapping. But yeah, this one appreciated getting out of that setup I had it in, and it's seeming to like this one. So that's very cool. Anytime your Hoyas bloom, it's a fun day. Now we have, stay. Next up is Hoya erythrina. And this one I repotted recently as well. Not recently, a few months. And yeah, it definitely appreciates that. We've got blooms in there and there. And there's some more growing inside here. I've heard some people really don't like this plant, but I think it's really pretty. I think those leaves are really, really neat looking. Slightly raised, slightly darker veins, dropping spent blossoms everywhere. Let's see if I can... I don't really notice a scent right now. But again, it's late afternoon, and that could change as the evening progresses. The nectar is just a very, very, very light. It doesn't even taste like honey. It tastes like sugar water, but like really mild sugar water. There's a little bit of a sweetness to it, but you wouldn't call it sweet. But yeah, I'm psyched about this one. This one blooms a lot, and once it gets going, as long as I keep on top of the watering, we should be fine there. And my Hoya species Kalimantan UT158 is also blooming. And yeah, I'm happy about that. It seems to be doing, well, I see at least 3-4 peduncles, and there's a spent one, so I must have missed somewhere along the way. I believe this has been classified as a calistophylla. Oh, there's another peduncle down there, which, yeah, you can see that because those leaves are very, very pretty. They're also very large. That one I just showed you is, come on, 8 inches or just a little over 20 centimeters. So that's a good sized leaf. And they're all in that range, being gorgeous. So yeah, and I have close-ups, so we're good. This is very cool. Love it when Hoyas bloom, That's part of the reason why we do it. And the first one up today is my Hoya bicknellii. Now, Hoya bicknellii is native to Matutinao on the island of Cebu in the Philippines. And it was first published in 1999 in Fraterna by Robert Dale Kloppenberg. And I received this as a small cutting, and I should have a picture of what it looked like when I received it. And it was a little thank you from Plants Wake You Up for an order I had placed. And at the time, I was all about foliage because I'd never had a Hoya bloom for me, so I didn't hold out any hope of that happening. But this came, and it was, a couple of really nice, big, luscious leaves. If there's a picture in the definition of a succulent leaf, it might be these. They're just, I think they're really, really neat. At first, they didn't have any splash, they didn't have any variegation, they were just green. And, it was a free plant, so I took it and grew it. And after it established, it's just been a steady grower. And for the first time, let's see, there's a peduncle there. I don't want to, you can probably just see it vibrating. I'll do a close-up of it. It has not yet bloomed. And there are some buds on the end of it, so I don't want to muck with it at all. And, that's a really big peduncle. But as we all know, it's not the size of the peduncle, is it? No. Yeah. So this one has just been, if you like green, if you just appreciate really pretty green leaves with a little bit of raised vein texture, and it has just grown steadily. It's not going to win any races. It's not going to lose them either. It just grows. It does its thing. That's kind of wedged in there, but I'm not going to argue with it now. I'm excited to see it bloom. That could be really neat. And again, you laughed at my optimistic trellises, and here we are. So I got to do a little rewrapping, but I'm going to wait until after it blooms because I don't want to run the risk of disturbing that. Yes. Yeah, I've come to enjoy this plant for the fact that it is just a simple, beautiful bit of green foliage. So yeah, it's done very well. As I said, this one came from Plants Wake You Up, and sadly they're no longer selling Hoyas. I'm going to say it again, I miss you guys. We had fun together. So yeah, this is Hoya bicknellii. Next up is my Hoya ficci. Now, Hoya ficci is native to the Philippines and was first published in 2009 in Fraterna by Robert Dale Kloppenberg. And it is named after Charles Marsden Fitch, who discovered I can't remember the word right now, it's not prototype, but the genus type, the species type of the plant. Let's see if I can wear some good. It's beautiful, beautiful leaves. Really nice. They've got a little bit of, they're a nice green color. They've got lighter, whitish, pale green veins in them. The leaves are firm, not rigid. It's got a woody stem. And this plant would be doing much, much better if the operator had not put it kind of out of the way, out of the line of sight. And when I had my flat mite bout, this was in the line of fire. So you'll see some flat mite damage on there. And yeah, when I discovered it, I treated it, apologized to it profusely, and moved it from the setup it was in, which was bark and sphagnum in a net pot in a cover pot, and moved it into pond and self-watering. At that point, I kind of figured I didn't have much to lose. He was not looking great. Still has not, the roots have not yet found the bottom, found the wick anyway. Well, at least not out here. They might have inside. But that move seemed to be a big help because there is new growth here. And there is new growth. Where was the other one I saw? Where was it? There. There's new growth up here. I don't know if I can. I'll do the close-up thing over here as usual. So it seems to be making a comeback. I'm happy about that. It has never bloomed for me. And I was so saddened by what I saw as the possible demise of this plant, I went out and ordered another one just to be safe and secure. I did it while it was still getting treated for flat mites. I didn't want to take cuttings from a flat mite infested plant and try and start them. So new source. That one seems to be doing fairly well. But I'm glad that this one has sparked back up. The leaves are looking much better. The new growth really has me very happy about this. So yeah, this is on the comeback trail. So we're hoping for really great things from this. Those, I love the foliage. I'd like to see some blooms, but no pressure because you're getting better. So, we're fine. I'm not, not doing that to you. And we'll keep you posted on this one. This one came from Plant the Studio. It's been here about 3 years. And this is Hoya Fici. Next one is Hoya scortikini. Now, Hoya scortikini is native to Brunei, to Kalimantan and Sumatra in Indonesia, and in Malaysia, it's native to Malaya, Sabah, Sarawak, and it's also native to Thailand. And it was first published in 1908 in the Journal of the Asiatic Society of Bengal, Part 2, Natural History, and was published by George King and James Sykes Gamble. And the notes on the herbarium sheet say Penins Mal, so that's the Malaysian peninsula, Malaya. And it was named after Benedetto Scortikini, who was a missionary and a botanist, and collected this plant in Malaysia and was really important to collecting and promoting the promotion of the collecting of plants and botany in general. And I just think the leaves are very neat. Now, for those of you who have to have splashing all over everything, this one may not cut it for you. But I think it's a really pretty amount of splashing. It's just, the splash to this is not what the leaves are about, but it adds interest. Now, I recently probably in the last year, up-potted this one to pond and self-watering. And it's a mad grower. It's just nuts. I don't know if you'll be able to see. Those are vines wrapped around vines, wrapped around vines. And it did that like in a day or two. I was in the plant room and I looked, I said, I should probably trellis that somehow, get that attached to the trellis. And like a day later, they had all found each other and gone off into space. They were reaching across, because from here to here is probably, I'm going to say 2 feet and 2 feet. You'd think I would have learned this by now, but 2 feet is approximately 61 centimeters. So yeah, we couldn't have that going on. So here we go. Just kind of like tied it down and let it do its thing. Again, you called them optimistic trellises, but the growth history of me and my plants is I could use another 2 feet on top of this. So yes, the blooms on this particular one are supposed to be pink. I just think it's a pretty plant. It likes its current location. I had it under grow lights, but I moved it to just inside of my southeast facing window. So it gets a little bit of early morning sun. It gets fallout from some of the grow lights in the plant room. And it seems to like this setup. Not too many vines up or leaves up top right now, but there's signs of them. So yeah, this is cool. This one's grown really well. If you like this kind of look on the leaves, I think this is one you would really enjoy and appreciate. It's done very well. I should have a picture of what it looked like when it first showed up, and I'll put that over here. Yeah, this one had never been on my radar, and this was another thank you gift from Plants Wake You Up. They were great in that if you ordered a couple of plants, they always put a free cutting in the box. And it was almost always something I had never heard of and was not on my radar. And this was definitely one of those things. So, again, thanks to them. This is done really well. It seems to be a really rampant grower now that it's settled in and getting good light and good food. And this is Hoya scorticini. And next up is Hoya verticillata. Now this particular one is the species formerly known as acuta, and my understanding it's now been classified as verticillata subspecies verticillata, and this is clearly the inner variegated one. And looking good. Now verticillata is native to, I've got a list, so bear with me, Bangladesh, Bhutan, Brunei, Cambodia, South Central and Southeast China and Highland Island, the Andaman Islands, Assam, and the Nicobar Islands in India, Java, Kalimantan, the Lesser Sunda Islands, Sulawesi, and Sumatra in Indonesia, Laos, Malaya, Sabah, and Sarawak in Malaysia, Myanmar, the Philippines, Taiwan, Thailand, and Vietnam. And it was first published, verticillata that is, in 1821 in Revisiones Plantarum Succulentarum, Reviews of Succulent Plants by Adrian Hardy Haworth. And he supposedly named it verticillata because in Latin verticulatus means whirled or whorl. And I'm not entirely sure how that applies. But the leaves are gorgeous, and it's in bloom. And those are very pretty. I will put some close-ups. And it has bloomed. It got away from me. So there's another peduncle, spent peduncle over on this side, and the last of one down here. But these are very pretty. The corollas have a very, very light pale green color with ivory colored coronas and a little bit of gold in the center. And there is a scent. It smells. The first thing I thought of, that's usually what I go by. It made me think of, remember ivory soap? Well, you probably don't. None of you are old enough to remember. Ivory soap that came in the bars. That's what it made me think of. It's a little, slightly floral. It's very pleasant. I mean, it's nice. It's not, I suppose if there were 40 peduncles, it would drive you out of the room, but this is very nice. I like the look of those. That color combination is very subtle and very pretty. I love the leaves. The variegation is just fabulous. God, did I just say fabulous? Oh, well. Yeah, it's striking. Every so often, it puts out a non-variegated leaf. For example, these two are coming from the same node, and this one is variegated and this one is not. I don't get too twisted about that. I just let it do its thing. It's growing under 24-watt grow light, and I know that for some people that doesn't necessarily explain everything terribly well, but I haven't figured out that software on my phone yet. So, when I do, I'll start giving you photons per square foot and all that kind of stuff. But there's a 24-watt grow strip right about here. It seems to like that. It seems to have settled in. The non-variegated leaves have a little bit of splash. Even the variegated leaves have a touch of splash. it's just a really pretty plant. And again, it was Pokey Joe for a while. It just didn't do terribly well. So I think it needed to get established, as most Hoyas do. And apparently it has gotten established. And you'll get a drink. So yeah, this is really cool. You might find it still under the name Hoya acuta. You might find it under verticillata, and lots of things have now been reclassified as verticillata. This one came from Plants Wake You Up again, and this is Hoya verticillata, subspecies verticillata, intervariegated. My next little buddy is Hoya plicata. Now, Hoya plicata is native to Malaya in Malaysia, and it was first published in 1908 in the Journal of the Asiatic Society of Bengal, Part 2, Natural History, by, again, George King and James Sykes Gamble. And it's another one of those, when I got it, I was somewhat unimpressed, and I should have a picture of what it looked like when it first showed up. But it's quite literally grown on me. The leaves are very interesting. There's a little bit of texture, there's a little bit of splash. I like the dark green color. I like the slightly raised veins. And I have moved it probably 6 months to a year ago. I had it under much brighter light, but with leaves this dark, it probably didn't need that much light. So I moved it again into front of my southeast facing window. It's off to the right-hand side, so it gets, again, early morning sun, bright light throughout the day. It's in pond and self-watering, and it seems to really have liked that setup, and it has been growing like crazy. It's kind of off to the side, so it sometimes gets a tad overlooked, which is why you'll see a little bit of flat mite damage, because he just got missed. That happens. Anyway, I think I think those are just very pretty. They're a little glossy. I don't feel any pubescence on them at all. They're very neat, a nice little bit of splash. The older established leaves are rigid, firm to rigid. Well, some, like credit card rigid. The others are firm. I think they're really pretty. I would like to see the blooms just to have that experience. But it's a really nice looking plant. I know it may come off as a little boring on camera, but it's visually interesting. And if everything you have is variegated or loaded with splash, then nothing stands out in that group. At least that's my approach to it. So I like some plants that have lots of variegation and some plants that don't have any. And so I get a good mix. This one has done very well. It has grown on me as it has grown. And, clearly that's a 24-inch and 24-inch. One of these days why don't we use metric? So that's just over 61 centimeters. It's 2-foot trellis. This is a fun one. I'm happy with this one. If you come across it and you like the look of this, it will grow quite well. This one came from the Hoya girl on Etsy. It's been here about 3 years, and this is Hoya plicata. And then the next one, again, was never on my radar. It was a thank you gift from Plants Wake You Up. And I don't know too much about it. But this is Hoya, species NR001. Now, I was able to find out that NR, the accession number NR, is from Ning Navaporn. And it has been suggested to me that this is perhaps some type of affinity parasitica. Could be, I don't know. I've been looking around, trying to figure it out, and have not been terribly successful so far. It's pretty enough. It's growing really well, as you can see from, this vine floating out into space. It had grown. It lives on the uppermost shelf of one of my grow shelves, which is why it's only got an 18 or... I've got my handy dandy measuring tape. So a 13-inch or 33-centimeter trellis. It's not an optimistic one. So it can fit under the light that's above it. It seems to like that light, but it had grown up through the top supports of the grow shelf. So I had to back this one out rather carefully. Is that? I thought perhaps it was a peduncle out there. I don't think so. There is a peduncle, and I may have missed the blooms, which would be unfortunate. But if I got it to bloom once, I can get it to bloom again. What's going on over there? Is that another? Nope. So two peduncles that I see. Is that a peduncle? Nope, new vine. like I'm disappointed that there's new growth on the plant because I was hoping for peduncles. Anyway, I don't have photos of the blossoms. I should have a picture of what it looked like when it showed up. So you can see it's done. It's growing a bit. The leaves are somewhat nondescript, but there's a little bit of splash on them. They're what I would call a medium green. The vine is woody. The leaves themselves are rigid, not quite to credit card, but you don't want to do that stupid taco test with these, nor with any plant, but with these. And it's done, it's grown well. So if I had any initial hesitation about this plant, it's overcome it because it's just a nice plant. It's not a showstopper, but it's done really well. I mean, seriously, there's nothing to complain about that plant, right? He may not be the flashiest kid on the block, but he's steady and reliable, and I'll have that. That's really cool. This came as a thank you cutting from Plants Wake You Up, and this is Hoya species NR001. The next one is a Hoya that's truly grown on me. It was one of the hot plants for a very long time. It was insanely expensive, and I just didn't get the hype. I pushed it away and was not interested. And finally found a plant at a very reasonable price, a cutting. And it arrived, and there was something wrong. I don't know whether it was scale or what was going on. And I worked with it for a little bit. Well, I isolated it and then worked with it for a little bit. And it was just not, it got to a point where it was not worth the efforts I was putting into it when I could just fairly easily order another one. So I went out and ordered another one. And I've fallen in love. I get it. I understand it. And that is Hoya nicholsoniae New Guinea Ghost. Now, nicholsoniae is native to Queensland in Australia, to Papua and West Papua in Indonesia, to New Caledonia, to Papua New Guinea, to Samoa and the Solomon Islands. And the sheet notation for nicholsoniae says Austral, so chances are it was first found in Queensland, Australia. It was first published in 1866 in Fragmenta Phytographiae Australiae by Ferdinand Jakob Heinrich von Müller. Now, ghost, New Guinea ghost, is actually a naturally occurring sport of Hoya nicholsoniae that was discovered by Nathanielle Simonson. And she saw this growing in a patch of nicholsoniae. I get all the hype. I get all the hype about, I don't know that it will be showing up terribly well on the camera. For the back of the leaf people, the back of the leaves are interesting. It's so different. It's so different just from that silver color, the ghost. The splashing that does occur is the dark green showing through. It's very, very pretty. It took, and this is the second one, it took a while to kind of settle in. And since it has, it's just started growing this spring. I mean, it did okay, it did fine, but this spring, it seems to have really hit its stride. The leaves are, let's say from petiole to tip, 5 inches or 12.5 centimeters. 5 inches, 4 3/4. So yeah, 5 inches, 4 3/4. It's just a beautiful plant. It's really, really, I was prepared not to like this. I bought it to prove that the hype wasn't worth it. The prices weren't worth it. It was terribly overpriced. But the hype was worth it. This one has just put out 2 new vines this year, and new growth out of an old vine. So it's very, very neat. It's one of those Hoyas when you see it sometimes online, it doesn't look like much, and then you see it in person and go, okay, I get it. It's very pretty. It's different from anything else in my collection. And I'm usually not a novelty plant kind of person, mint, super splash, all that stuff doesn't faze me. It's the plant itself. But yes, this one has sold me. This one has grown on me. This one came from Age of Foliage RS on Etsy. It's only been here about a year. And this is Hoya nicholsoniae, New Guinea Ghost. question for the comments this week is, do you have any of these Hoyas? Either the ones I showed up front that are blooming or some of the ones I featured this week. So add that to the comments below and we'll see what people think of what they saw. And as always, I want to thank you for choosing to spend a little bit of your time with me this week's end. Please remember to click the thumbs up, like button, the subscribe button, and the notification bell. They're really important to helping my channel grow. A lot of the products you've seen me use are available through my Amazon storefront, and there's a link in the description below. If you'd like to support the channel, there's also a link in the description to my Buy Me a Coffee page, or you can click on the YouTube thanks button down here. YouTube handles all that stuff. I'm going to have links, as always, to a couple more videos that you might enjoy over here, and please enjoy the rest of your week's end.